quilting friends. So I am doing some free motion quilting, and I just jammed up my machine here at the beginning of this live, which is not planned, but I'm gonna cut this out. I have some extra fabric here on the side that I was using for checking the tension, and yeah, it's not basted down very well, so it got caught on here. So I'm going to trim some of this extra away, and hopefully that doesn't happen again. What am I doing to myself? There we go. Ooh. There we go. So hopefully that'll fix that problem. And I can start again. We'll see. But I'm almost at the end of this row, so I may have cut that a little close. We'll see. Let's go resume. There we go. So yeah, I'm at my long jump pause, which means I'm at the end of this row, and it's going to go ahead and jump to the next row. So I need to cut my threads. And this is the Baby Lock Gallant XL long arm on a Villa 2 frame with Pro Stitcher Light. And Pro Stitcher Light is this computer part here that, all right, let's go ahead and let it, this, and I'll show you the screen in a second. So this is the computer, and there's a carriage underneath. So the computer talks to the carriage, and the carriage moves the whole machine along the quilt. This is the quilt top, and then I have batting and then backing fabric underneath. And so this is the process of stitching all these layers together to make the finished quilt. Once this is done, then it'll need to be trimmed up and then bound, and then it's a quilt that's ready to go. All right, so it came back to its starting point, and I'm just going to pull it out of the way, bring up my bobbin thread, and then, well, let me make it so that you can see what I'm doing here. So I brought up the bobbin thread, and I'm holding on to the two threads, and then I'm going to say resume, there we go. This is going to go back to where it pulled up those threads. It's going to start stitching a little slow at the beginning, just to make sure that all those stitches are getting secured, and then it's going to start going a little faster. I'm still pretty new to long arm quilting, and my stitch length is pretty small here. I should have maybe played with that a little bit, although I'm still learning, so I'm not exactly sure what I was supposed to do there that I didn't, but okay. So let me pull you out of, feel free to ask questions. Hi Sharon, hi Annette. Let me know if there's anything you want to see, and I'm going to show you this. So here is it up close, and it's making a little bit of noise because there's a lot of seam allowance, so there's a lot of bulk there that it's stitching over. So it's adding this quilting design, and I'll go over here where you can see. So there's the quilting that's already done. It's really interesting. Here's the thread that I'm using, and then here's what it looks like on the quilt. So what the thread looks like on the cone and what it looks like on the quilt are sometimes really, really different. I auditioned several different threads. I should probably do a video on auditioning threads and what that's like. So I auditioned several different threads, and you can see this is what it's looking like on the quilt. So this is the machine itself, and this is the basic machine, and then this is Pro Stitcher right here. This is the add-on, and this is the design that I'm quilting on the quilt. So let's zoom in. There we go. Zoom in again. So that's the design that's being quilted here on the quilt, and you can see its progress as it goes along, which is just kind of fun. And once you get like the basics of it, there's definitely some things that I still have to learn, but I've done a handful of quilts, and it's actually really nice. I can just sit here and it's just quilting itself. It needs a little bit of babysitting every now and then, a little bit of checking in, to make sure that what it's doing is what it's supposed to be doing. You can see, okay, I'll show you. I started the first row up here, and it's actually, you can't really tell. It is double stitched though, because I got this first leaf and part of this second leaf, and then my bobbin thread ran out. So I had to replace the bobbin. But thank you. This is actually an older quilt top that I did, oh gosh, probably a couple years ago, 3 years ago maybe now. And since I haven't used the long arm in a couple months, I thought I would pull out an older quilt top and put it here on the long arm to make sure that I know what I'm doing before I go working on other projects. So like here, that stitch length, you can kind of see, is super tiny. And that's something I'll want to adjust before I go quilting other quilts. That short stitch length is also going to mean that this is going to take a lot longer than I planned to quilt. But that's okay. It's not that big a quilt. It's maybe just barely 40 inches. Yep. So this is the Gallant XL. So the Gallant and the Gallant XL are both long arm machines. The Gallant XL is just one of the biggest. This screw is actually a little bigger. Space is a little bit bigger. And when we talk about throat space, that's the space from here on the machine to here on the machine. So it's how much quilt can fit underneath it. So the Gallant XL is the actual long arm machine. And then I'm gonna show you some of my mess here. This here that it's on, and maybe from the side it might make a little more sense. So this here that it's on, that's called a frame. And so that's the Via 2 frame. And then this is called a table, this black that's on here. And then you can actually see this blue strip right here is actually, let's see if you can see how close. Those are little gears. And so you can see underneath. Ooh, let's see how close I can get this underneath so you can see it. It's actually really fun. There are mechanics underneath here. I'm going to make you dizzy, I'm sorry. All right, there we go. So this is underneath the machine. Oh, there's a loose thread. Okay, that's not a big deal. So this over here, that's the carriage. And it's on wheels, but underneath there is a gear, and that gear is running on that blue track that I showed you, and that's what's pulling the carriage on or across. And then the machine is sitting on the carriage, and it has both X and Y axes, so it can go back and forth this way, and it can also go front and back, and that's what lets it do all the designs. Okay, so I'm here at the end of my row. I'm going to throw you guys back on the tripod while I use my hands to advance. And I think, yep, I need to advance the whole quilt on this one. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the clamps on both sides, which are holding my backing. Ooh, I haven't advanced a quilt in a couple months. So let's hope I remember how to do this right. Maybe I should have advanced a quilt at least once before going live, but I'll live and learn, right? Okay. Okay, I remember to remove my clamps, which is something that I always forget to do. I've gone ahead and clipped my threads. Then I'm going to release these little arms here, which these front bars here were stuck in place. And so releasing those means that the roller bars are now free. And then I'm going to roll up this part of the quilt that's finished. And this is always extra fun because you actually get to see the underside stitching as it flips up over on this roller bar. And I did double check my tension, so it should be pretty good. But I can see if there's any tension issues as I look at these back stitches, and it's looking good. Oh, okay. I think I rolled that too far back. Let me look. Yeah, I rolled it just a little too far back. So let me release this guy. Get myself. There we go. Gauge these boys again. Yeah, that's good. Because I need to line this up again. And to do that, I need to be able to grab a reference. All right. I need to grab my instruction sheet to see what I'm doing. Let's see. Okay. How are we doing? Any questions? Yeah, Angela, well, you could always, like, I know Angela. Angela could come up and we could quilt a quilt, right? That'd be fun. I could get a quilt quilted, maybe. If you trust that I know what I'm doing, which I don't know that you should, but, you know, that's a risk. All right. I want it bouncy. Like, I want it snug, but still bouncy. Okay. So now, all right, I've trimmed my thread. Let me grab my notes, which fell on the ground, to remember what I'm doing here. These are my very fancy notes. Okay. Reposition. So, I'm gonna cancel this. All right, I'm gonna find a spot here. And I'm going to put my needle down so I know it's exactly where that is. Okay. And then I'm going to select, you can't even see what I'm, well, you can kind of see what I'm doing. So I'm selecting the design, and that was not what I wanted. There we go. So, there we go. All right. Feel free to ask questions. When I'm done with this, I'll go read questions and see what questions people have. Okay, so I'm going to select. There we go. I'm going to move this design so it's lined up exactly there. I should probably use my reading glasses. It's pretty close. Okay, this is telling me that because of the overlap that I have on these, it's not enough. All right, I need to reset. Well, maybe it'll work. No. Okay. One. Okay, when I set this, I set a smaller, oh no, I didn't. I set this all the way up here. Okay, so I still pulled it too far up because of where that needs to be. So I need to bring the whole quilt down just a little bit. I knew I hopped on live just a little too soon. That's okay. But it's still pretty forgiving, so I'm just gonna roll it back just a scooch. That should be good. My clamps back on. All right. What machine do you have? This is a Baby Lock Gallant XL. So it's the Baby Lock, and it's in the Gallant series, and it's the XL, so it's a little bit bigger than the Gallant. This one it's on a an 8-foot frame. It's the Villa 2 frame, and it has Pro Stitcher Lite, which is the computer that's running it. The throat space, I don't know off the top of my head. I'd have to look it up. So yeah, I don't know the throat space off the top of my head on this one. All right. There we go. That's good. Is that too tight? No, that's fine. Okay. Let me move this. Select. No, zoom. There we go. Perfect. Select, and I just need to bring this down. So I'm just realigning everything up so that everything fits together right. Since I moved the quilt up, I need to re-reference where everything is. So bring the needle up. You always want the needle to be up before it moves, because otherwise it's going to just rip through your quilt, and we don't want that. All right, let's go. Yep. So I wanted to start here. Perfect. I think, let's find out. So it should give me one stitch to bring up the bobbin thread, which it did. Pull up that bobbin thread, hold on to the threads. Oh, you know what? I did not baste down my edges. So I'm gonna have to be really careful here as it gets to the edge to make sure that it doesn't snag the edge of my quilt. Should have basted those edges. All right, that should be okay till I get to the other. Okay. Thanks, Quilting Dot. Oh, Angela, thanks. So 18-inch throat. I was gonna guess 16, but I wasn't sure, so I'm glad you looked it up. Yep, 18-inch throat. So, oh, well, let's. There we go. Let's watch it do its magic. I wonder if I turn down the lights here. I don't know if that's any better. Maybe a little bit. Definitely less glare on the lawn over there. So I can pull you out again. So there she goes. And at this point I can go walk away and go starch some fabric. Although, since all right, so you can see here, there's like some stitching. I basted down this edge, and then here I didn't. So as it was stitching this, it could have caught on this edge here, and that would have, if you can see that metal foot, if that metal foot would have flipped underneath here, it would have pulled this whole edge over, and we don't want that. So as it travels over to the other side, I've actually set it so that, and you can see here, so the design goes past the edge. And so that's why I want to base down these edges, because as it's coming back here, if it grabs that fabric, it can mess things up. So as it comes over here and stitches past this, what is that? I guess that's the third border. I want to hold it down to keep it from catching. So that's kind of fun, right? Like, I don't know that I'm going to get this whole thing quilted tonight. Although it is a small quilt. I feel like I'm almost halfway already. And this is called a pantograph. So it's just a design. Oh, we can see it better up here. So it's just a design that repeats itself over and over and over again. So you can see here, I think I was on the third row when I hopped. And so now it shows that I'm on the second row, because all the rows are identical. I just told it that I was on the second row. Although, so this first row is not identical because it's kind of chopped off on the top. So as long as I start at least on the second row, it's yes, this was a quilt that I designed, and I made a pattern for at some point. It might be in the shop. I don't know. This is an older quilt, and I have so many quilts that need quilting. So this is just an Art Gallery Fabrics wide back on the back. Let's see, where is this? Oh, here it is. This is the wide back fabric. This is the backing fabric that I chose for this. So I went and picked out, let me see, there's something here. Oh, look at that. So this, there we go. This floral and this polka dot are wide backs, and then these two are linens, so they're also wide backs, and then these fabrics up here are also, I believe, all wide backs as well, or extra wide fabrics. So I have like just some different wide fabrics that I can choose from and play with. Yeah, it's like a really nice neutral, and then I like that polka dot and that floral. I can't wait to use that floral on something. So I just got some art gallery wide backs so that I could put them on the long arm and actually get some quilt tops finished. And I don't know if like what'll happen with these tops. There's definitely some that need to just get finished and bound so they can be donated, and some that I just need new photos of for pattern covers. So we'll see. Oh, here we go. I'm here on this edge and I want to catch it so that it doesn't grab that border and mess up the quilt. All right, so you can see it stopped here because now it's gotten to the edge of the pantograph, and so it stops. And then it's going to give me a message right here in just a second that says that it needs to jump. There we go. So it says a long jump pause, trim your thread, press resume to continue, make sure needle is up before returning. That's important. So I'm going to trim the thread, and then I'm going to press that resume button, and it is going to robot magically bring itself all the way back over here to the starting point where it's going to start the new row. So let's put you back in the tripod. Are you just using 80-20 batting? No, this is actually 100% cotton. I tend to use 100% cotton. I know it wrinkles more, but I just like it. So yeah, this is just 100% cotton. All right, let's trim the threads. And then kind of bring it back. Hit resume, and it's going to robot magically bring itself back to the starting point, and then it should do one stitch so that I can pull up that bobbin thread. It's a quilting robot. It's so cool. I might be easily amused. I've tried a bunch of different brands. I just bought, I'll show you some of the batting that I have. This was the end of a roll, and I think the tube is sitting over there. Okay, let's see. Oh, it didn't do, oh, it did a stitch. There we go. All right, come here. Pull up the thread. Pull up the thread. All right, it's not going to pull up the thread, which means it's pretty well stuck. So I think that telling it to just go ahead and resume should be okay. It shouldn't result in any thread tangles. And if so, that, oh, I didn't baste again. Good job, Caroline. Doing two things at once, like trying to carry on a conversation and quilting, clearly not my best skill set. That's okay. All right, there we go. It's going to keep quilting. All right, so I'll show you what I have right now. So I keep batting on rolls. This is the messy behind the long arm. So this is what is on there right now. This is the end of the roll. This was 45 inches by 45. So it wasn't super wide. This quilt itself is just like 41 inches, 42 inches wide. So this was just wide enough for that quilt. I'll show you that it really didn't extend much further. And I used the very last of it. So that's why, whoop, empty roll. Okay, so this right here, also, this is Warm and Natural. But this one is wider. So you can see here on the edge, this is folded over. So it comes about up to my armpit, and it's a double layer. So this is going to be wider. So for a lot of quilts, I'll actually be cutting it this way. And then I got this, which is a bamboo blend because I want to play with that. It's also a natural fiber, naturally antibacterial and eco-friendly bamboo. So I want to try quilting with bamboo. There are lots of people who like wool or doing a layer of wool and a layer of cotton, but I'm allergic to wool. So you won't find wool in my studio. So no wool for me, just cotton. And then now I'm going to try this bamboo and see what happens. But a lot of people will double bat, which is 2 layers of batting. So you can see there's just like, 2 inches maybe, just shy of 2 inches extra on this side. And then on the other side here also, this is maybe just a good 2 inches. So it's like 3.5 inches. There wasn't a lot of room on either side, but it was enough. And then this was the last of it. So you can see it's all wrinkly. This was the last of the bit on the roll. And here we go. It's quilting another row. Feel free to hop in the comments, my friends, if you have any questions. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna go. There we go. I've zoomed in so you can actually see the progress on the computer screen. And this orange line here and the orange line there, that is the point where the machine is. Let's see if that's a better angle. So those orange lines are where the machine is on the quilt, and then you can see the progress on the pantograph. Alright, I didn't baste. I do not quilt for other people. That's not my passion. I have friends who do, and I definitely have friends that I can refer you to. But quilting for other people, no. Because if this isn't perfect, that's okay. It's my quilt. I'm fine. But messing up someone else's quilt would be too stressful. And I don't have time to add one more thing to what I do. There aren't enough hours in the day already. I should probably already be home hanging out with my family at this point. But I wanted to make some progress on this. Because, y'all, I have not touched a sewing machine in, oh my gosh, you can see, look at all that lint that's on there. Oh, I have to clean that off. Only because of the angle of the camera, I'm seeing all that lint. Let me clean that off. There we go. Ooh, big dirty lint ball. So yeah, adding one more thing to my plate. No, but this is definitely like for quilting my quilts and getting my quilts done faster. No, I'm holding the camera, and then I have, this is just a little tripod over here that I'm going to sit you in, that's hanging to the side. So I'm just going to sit you in the tripod because I have to advance the quilt again. I was able to get 2 passes in the depth of this quilt, but I could almost fit a 3rd one, but it's going to hit too close here. So I need to advance the quilt again in order to be able to fit more passes again. So yeah, it's not attached to the machine. It's in this tripod right now. And I was holding it to show you what I was up to. All right, so we're going to trim the threads again. Oh, and I can undo the clamps because I'm going to be advancing. Let's see if I can advance all at once this time instead of having to do it 2 or 3 times this time. Okay, I'm going to release the little wrenches over there. Alright, I want to advance it to about there. All right, I'm going to show you this for a second, just because I think it's interesting. Maybe you will. And then I'll get to your questions in just a second. So over here on the side, I put a piece of batting and a piece of just scrap fabric when I was just getting started, because especially since I hadn't used the long arm in a little while, I was also changing the thread. And so I was checking tension, and you can see this is the back of the quilt. It's a really good thing I did, because the tension was terrible. I had to do a lot of it's not bad to do in terms of it's not a huge hassle or headache. It's just tweaking the tension until I got it pretty. And here you can see this is the actual quilting on the quilt, and the tension is just about perfect. So it was worth throwing a little bit of scrap fabric and scrap batting over here on the side of the extra backing fabric, because picking this out of my quilt because I had messed up the tension would be really sad. And that's something about, I don't want to do that on someone else's quilt. So here, my tension on this quilt, though, is perfect. Okay. I've tried quilting with a car cell phone holder attached to my machine. It kind of works to use both hands on the machine. So I have like a motorcycle holder that I had clamped on here, but trying to get the right angle of the machine was hard. On Pro Stitcher Lite, do you have enough designs to choose from? You can import other designs, which I haven't done yet because I'm still pretty new. But there's quite a few. Like, I haven't had any. I mean, I haven't imported any others, because that's a whole new skill that I would need to learn, which I will. I'll get there. But I've been quilting over 30 years, like making quilts for over 30 years, and I do free motion quilting, but long arm quilting is a new skill for me, which is fun because I get to like learn something new, and it uses your brain in a different way to learn new things. All right, hopefully I did this right this time. Well, I haven't put the clamps on yet, but we'll wait. I'll put in the clamps on, and then I'm going to baste it this time. Oh yeah, I should be able to finish this tonight because it's a really small little lap quilt. I've got 1, 2, 3, and then borders. Yeah, so I think I maybe advance it 2 more times and it should be done. Okay, let me move this into position. Come on. Up. Yes, that was almost perfect. Okay, so let me. Oh, I need to baste it. Okay, let me go ahead and baste it. Let me see. Any other questions? Okay, no questions right now. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and baste it. I'm going to start up here. I'm going to pull up my thread, which is just pulling up that bobbin thread. Oh, and I didn't add my clamps, so my fabric's a little loose here on the side. So add my clamps. And this is my other side. And the clamp just gives it tension. You don't want to stretch the quilt or the backing fabric, but you do want to give it a little tension. And I'm just going to kind of bring the border in, or bring the border out so it doesn't get pulled in. And then right here along this edge, give it a stitch. And these don't have to be super close, just close enough that the foot doesn't get caught under the edge when I quilt past the edge. So I like quilting past the edge because then it makes sure that if there's any shift in the quilt, if it's not exactly straight or like the sides aren't exactly perfect on the frame, that you don't end up with your design eking in and starting here at some point, because you only had it right to the edge of your border. And the other thing I like doing, which is just me being silly, but that's okay, when I get down to the bottom, and I like this especially when I'm doing like free motion quilting designs on the long arm. So when I get down to the bottom here, I'm just gonna give myself a line, and that lets me know this is as far forward as the machine will stitch, because the back of the throat is hitting the back bar. Okay, so that's basting one side. I'm gonna go ahead and clip my threads, and I'm gonna go baste on the other side of the quilt. And you can see I was able to go right across there without worrying about catching the edge of the fabric there. Okay. So it is our Gallant fabric. This is a line from a couple years ago. I don't remember the line though, but based on those birds, I'm pretty sure it was a Jessica Swift fabric. Okay, let's see. Yep. Okay. Feel free to ask questions. I'm going to go ahead and baste this. Now, let me bring up that bottom thread. This machine, something's going on where the button on the handle isn't working quite right. I don't know. I think I did something. But I can use the stitch button on Pro Stitcher, which is my workaround here, until I can slow down enough to have a tech look at it. That's a me thing again. I don't know when I'll be slow. Like, the long arm has been quiet for most of the summer while I was traveling and working on other projects, but now I have at least 14 quilts to get done before the end of the year. So the long arm's gonna be pumping. It's gonna be rocking. Yeah, like if I'm doing a good job, it'll be more like 16 quilts by the end of the year. So we'll see. I've got a lot to work on. And as long as I can, like, as long as she functions, which she does, I'm just gonna let her function. Okay. I'm gonna bring it back over to the beginning here. And hold on, new start end. Come on. There we go. All right, so I just pulled up that bobbin thread, and that's just so that I don't get a tangle down at the bottom. And then I just hold on to the threads for a second while it starts. And it starts a little slow. Make sure that it's not yanking those threads out of my hand. And then as soon as it starts to speed up, I'll let go. There we go. Okay. All right. When you're piecing a quilt top, what sewing machine do you prefer? Okay, so I could show you my sewing machine. I haven't played with her in over a month, but I'll show you. Okay. Oh, I think I've got a sneeze coming. Maybe, maybe not. All right. So we're gonna let her do another row, and because I remembered to baste this time, so there's my basting stitches. It shouldn't catch, and she should be okay to run a little unsupervised for the time being. Okay, so I'm gonna take you over here to the other messy part of the studio. This is my, oh, that was a big mess. So this is the Baby Lock Ballad. This is my everyday machine. When I'm sewing, I sit here and sew, which is nice. I'll show you some more mess. I get this view of the outside. There's a mountain and trees, and it's really pretty. So I can sit here and sew. So when I'm working on projects, this is where I'm sewing here. And then I have a little tripod or like phone clamp here that I use. So if you ever see videos that have This green, this is called a Sew Steady Grid Glider. If you ever see videos that have the grid glider, this is the machine that I'm sewing on. This is the Baby Lock Ballad. And I love this machine. Yeah, I love this machine. And then I'm going to put you in incognito mode while I run around the studio here real quick and take you to, this also hopefully will keep you from being dizzy, the very extremely messy right now, because there's a big pile of stuff here, but this is where I film video. So this is my view as I'm filming video, and this is the Baby Lock Jubilant, which is what most of my long form content is filmed with the Baby Lock Jubilant. I might be bringing the Ballad over here to film some videos with the Ballad so folks can see that as well in video. But this is a smaller machine. It's much more like, it looks much more accessible because it's a smaller machine. It's a less expensive machine. And when I show people quilting, I want them to know that yes, you can do this. And if I show the Ballad, then it seems like really big and scary. Like, oh my gosh, you need really big, expensive, fancy machines to quilt, and you don't. This one, this is a less expensive machine. It's not the least expensive machine. But, and then here, this is technically the least expensive machine I own. This was, I want to say, was like $200 when I bought it, but I bought it without the rhinestones, and then I added all the rhinestones to it. And yeah, she still fully functions. This is a Baby Lock Zest, which is the least expensive of the Baby Lock machines out there, and she is fully covered with rhinestones. So I've pieced quilts on her. I pieced on the Baby Lock Jubilant. I pieced on the Ballad. I like the Ballad because of the big throat space. So this, you can see, like, there's my hand, throat space on that, and then we'll go incognito. This is the Jubilant, so it's actually slightly bigger throat space than the Baby Lock Zest. This is the Baby Lock Jubilant, and then I'm going to take you back over to the Ballad, and you can see it has a ton more throat space. So this one has, you can see, there's my hand, and even like stretching my hand out all the way, so much more throat space here to be able to fit things. So I'll free motion quilt on this machine as well. And then I have an extension table for it. So there's lots of space here to be able to work on projects. And I have it all set up. Okay, so we're going to take you back over to the long arm. And she's about to finish up this row. And then I think I'm going to sign off so I can finish this up. And maybe I'll work on starching some fabric or work on something while this is finishing up. So you can see the quilting design, and it just adds a little bit of texture, but it secures those layers together of the quilt. Yeah, so I'm actually a Baby Lock ambassador. I work with them and have contracts to work with them and promote their machines. Although I'm not an expert in all their machines, but I'm learning, and I think that that's super valuable. Like, I'm just learning alongside everybody else. All right, you can see she finished off the end of that row. And so the next row, I don't need to advance the quilt because I can fit 2 rows at least. Quilting dot, oh, my pleasure. Let me know if there's anything else, any other questions. All right, I'm going to go ahead and cut this thread and advance the quilt. Give you guys a chance to ask any last questions. See if I can answer. And then I did not think I was going to get this quilt done today. But I guess I am, which is nice. Definitely nice. Then I can just turn off the machine and have it all, not have to worry about it. All right. Long jump, pause, resume. I think that sneeze is coming again. Yep, here it comes. Excuse me. Okay. I think it's just magical. It's like one of those vacuuming robots, but even better because it's quilting for me. Maybe I should get a vacuuming robot for the office, and then the Gallant XL will have a friend. So it went ahead and did one stitch. Let me bring the camera back so you can see. So it did one stitch. So that means I can grab this thread. I'll pull the machine out of the way, and that'll allow me to bring up the bobbin thread. I'm going to hold these two threads. And when I say resume, it's actually going to robot itself right back over to the start point and start. But I need to pull it out of the way to make it easier for me to pull up that bobbin thread. And now that it's done enough stitches, I can let go. And off she goes. All right, friends, I'll give you another close-up look, and then I'm going to head off. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. I hope you enjoyed seeing the machine do its thing. This is the Baby Lock Gallant XL long arm. So there we go. So it's Baby Lock Gallant XL with Pro Stitcher Lite, which is the software package that allows you to do the robotic quilting where these are handlebars so that I could move the machine myself, but I don't need to because the computer is moving the machine on the carriage for me. All right, friends, so I'm gonna head off, but thanks so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this. And oh, I should be a good YouTuber and say subscribe. Please subscribe before you go. I'm really working on growing this channel and actually have had a lot of growth in the last week, which is really awesome. So please hit that subscribe button. I share all kinds of fun quilting videos. I talk about tools and notions and patterns and all kinds of fun stuff. And we have so much fun stuff planned for the rest of this year. You don't want to miss out. So hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss out and so we can hang out together in the future. All right, friends. Thanks again. Bye.